He's nervous.
What'd you do?
On Tuesday, April 4th, 2023, Donald Trump entered a Manhattan courtroom and pled not guilty to 34 crimes.
Squash it.
Fucking movie star. You're a fucking movie star.
Said tick, tick, tick.
Michael, a lot of people have asked me, because they know we've been friends a long time, why isn't Michael going with the president-elect? Have you decided to take on any role?
So I get that. Look, I get that question a lot. I'm obviously very loyal and very dedicated to Mr. Trump. I think he's going to be not just a good president, I think he's going to be a great...
As a Brit from the outsider looking in, I think we should start back in 2017 when Trump was good friends with Michael Cohen, his staff. Michael Cohen was having the red carpet rolled out by, his client, Hannity at Fox News.
I spoke yesterday to Mr. Trump. You'll be the first one to know, Sean, you and, of course, all your viewers. I'm going to be the personal attorney to Mr. Trump. I'm not going to be in government, but I'm going to remain technically in the same role for Mr. Trump, for President Trump, as I was when he was president of the Trump Organization.
So can I assume that in that role, not being a government role, that you'd have attorney-client privilege with President Trump?
Yes, of course. And that relationship hopefully will last, for not 4 years, but 8 years. I think he's a wonderful man. I think he's going to be an amazing president. The family is just, fantastic. They're behind him 100%. He's going to have Jared and Ivanka there, to speak to him on, that's right, on a day-to-day basis. But I will be in D.C. and in New York, anywhere Mr. Trump deems necessary.
And now the best detergent stroke bleach advert you've ever seen. Hannity cleansing himself of anything to do with Michael Cohen.
Sean Hannity.
To clean this, you need this.
Bleach advert you've ever seen.
Disinfectant, you need this.
Welcome to our world's
all-in-one cleaning and disinfecting.
Sean Hannity.
All right, am I surprised by any of this? No, of course not, because this is what the media in this country does. Let me set the record straight. Here's the truth. Michael Cohen never represented me in any legal matter. I never retained his services. I never received an invoice. I never paid Michael Cohen for legal fees. I did have occasional brief conversations with Michael Cohen. He's a great attorney, about legal questions I had, or I was looking for input and perspective. My discussions with Michael Cohen never rose to any level that I needed to tell anyone that I was asking him questions. And to be absolutely clear, they never involved any matter, sorry to disappoint so many, matter between me or third party, a third group at all. And my questions exclusively almost focused on real estate. I've said many times on my radio show, I hate the stock market. I prefer real estate. Michael knows real estate. So in response to all the wild speculation, I want to set the record straight here tonight. I never asked Michael Cohen to bring this proceeding on my behalf. I have no personal interest in this legal matter. That's all there is, nothing more. So maybe the media could try and start focusing in on the biggest abuse of power scandal in this country, or maybe the forgotten men and women in this country who the 2016 election was about, jobs, getting off of poverty, out of food stamps. Maybe we'll focus on that. National security, 105 out of 105 missiles hit their targets.
And as things got a little bit tense, Michael Cohen got himself a lawyer to run to clickbait cable news station CNN and scream against Michael Avenatti. Michael Avenatti being the then lawyer of the porn star that Michael Cohen gave $130,000 to. Michael Avenatti subsequently also found himself locked up. Keeping up? Good.
I'm not done. I'm not done. Let's talk about the kind of man. Spoken to Stormy Daniels. But he keeps sidetracking.
Well, that's what he's allowed. He's allowed to speak.
Correct. Right. let's talk about Michael Cohen, what kind of man this is. This is the kind of guy who claimed in connection with that story that there's no such thing as spousal rape. The guy doesn't even know the law. He's a thug. Right. Your friend is a thug.
Well, thank you. That's $1 million.
No, that's $3 million.
$1 million. You know what? You're a thug. Anyone who come on here.
Wait a second.
Anyone, you see, anyone. By the way,
he's a thug.
By the way,
A friend of mine uses the expression sing like a canary. I will now give you a full definition of it, but it's more like sing like a choir to infinity.
He is a racist. He is a con man, and he is a cheat. Mr. Trump knew of and directed the Trump-Moscow negotiations throughout the campaign and lied about it. He lied about it because he never expected to win. He also lied about it because he stood to make hundreds of millions of dollars on the Moscow real estate project. He asked me to pay off an adult film star with whom he had an affair, and to lie about it to his wife, which I did. I am providing a copy of a $35,000 check that President Trump personally signed from his personal bank account on August 1st of 2017, when he was President of the United States, to reimburse me, the word used by Mr. Trump's TV lawyer, for the illegal hush money I paid on his behalf. Mr. Trump is a racist. The country has seen Mr. Trump court white supremacists and bigots. You have heard him call poorer countries shitholes. In private, he is even worse. He once asked me if I could name a country run by a black person that wasn't a shithole. This was when Barack Obama was president of the United States. And while we were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that only black people could live that way. And he told me that black people would never vote for him because they were too stupid. A lot of people have asked me about whether Mr. Trump knew about the release of the hacked documents, the Democratic National Committee emails, ahead of time. And the answer is yes. In July of 2016, days before the Democratic Convention, I was in Mr. Trump's office when his secretary announced that Roger Stone was on the phone. Mr. Trump put Mr. Stone on the speakerphone. Mr. Stone told Mr. Trump that he had just gotten off the phone with Julian Assange, and that Mr. Assange told Mr. Stone that within a couple of days, there would be a massive dump of emails that would damage Hillary Clinton's campaign. Mr. Trump responded by stating to the effect, "Wouldn't that be great?" Donald Trump is a man who ran for office to make his brand great, not to make our country great. He had no desire or intention to lead this nation, only to market himself and to build his wealth and power. Mr. Trump would often say, this campaign was going to be the greatest infomercial in political history. I may not be able to change.
And Michael Cohen subsequently ended up in jail.
President Trump's longtime personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, is going to jail. Cohen has just been sentenced in a New York City courtroom on multiple charges, including his role in paying hush money during the 2016 election to two women alleged to have had affairs with Trump. Payments prosecutors say were coordinated with and directed by Donald Trump himself. Let's go right to our Justice Department correspondent, Pete Williams, in our Washington newsroom. Pete?
Well, this is lower than the prosecutors in New York had recommended. The probation department in its pre-sentence report had recommended something just shy of 4 years. So the judge is on the low end of the sentencing guidelines here, 3 years in prison. Cohen himself spoke to the court today, saying that he lost his way, that his blind loyalty to Trump led him to choose darkness over light. The prosecutors in New York had urged a tough sentence, what they called substantial prison time, saying that a lighter sentence would send the wrong message, that he admitted trying to influence the election, that he deserves a tough sentence to promote deterrence. But the prosecutors from Robert Mueller's office were kinder on him today in court, They said that he was very helpful to their investigation, not only the potential Russian connection, what they called the core of their work, but also another case that they couldn't say in court. The judge, though, said that Michael Cohen committed what the judge called a smorgasbord of criminal conduct, marked by deception, greed, and ambition with broad public consequences. The judge said he lost his moral compass and sought to profit from his association with Trump, and that as a lawyer, Michael Cohen should have known better. So our understanding here, Lester, is that he will serve this sentence concurrently with the special prosecutor crime of lying to Congress. So that means no additional time for that offense. 3 years in prison. He'll stay out of prison until a sentencing date. So the judge will set a date. The judge will set a date for reporting to prison. And of course, Cohen's lawyers can also try to appeal this conviction and ask that he stay out. But their appeal rights are very limited here because he did plead guilty. So I wouldn't expect, I mean, they could argue about procedure here, but I wouldn't expect an appeal. He'll stay out until he's given a date to show up to prison to begin to serve this sentence, Lister.
Now, we recognize he didn't have an official cooperation agreement, but to the extent that he was telling what he reportedly knew to the Mueller team, will that continue in this interim period before he reports to prison?
Yes, I think so. And, you know, there is a procedure in federal court where if cooperation continues after sentencing, the prosecutors can go back to the judge, even if somebody's already serving a sentence, and say that it should be reduced. So there is a procedure for that. I can't imagine the prosecutors in New York would go along with that. I don't think it's likely that Mueller's people would do that, but if he continues to talk to them, as he certainly has indicated that he will. I mean, one of the themes of Michael Cohen since he pleaded guilty to this second charge of lying to Congress is that he wants to turn his life around and do the right thing.
Well, former President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, has been formally released from his 3-year prison sentence. He has served the last year of that sentence on home confinement at his Manhattan apartment. Cohen pleaded guilty to a host of federal crimes, including tax fraud and lying to Congress. After a court appearance this morning, he vowed to continue cooperating with ongoing investigations into the Trump organization.
I will continue to provide information, testimony, documents, and my full cooperation on all ongoing investigations to ensure that others are held responsible for their dirty deeds and that no one is ever believed to be above the law.
Since he was released from prison in 2020, Cohen has turned on his former boss, publishing the best-selling tell-all memoir, Disloyal, and launching a podcast.
And then the shit really did hit the fan, leading up to the testimony that is expected to be explosive. This was Michael Cohen's first interview, just telling the world, in his view, what went on.
Who'd been advised badly by a lawyer could be a defense. Problem is that according to Michael Cohen, Donald Trump made the deal himself with American media. At this point, the president is effectively an unindicted co-conspirator.
And in a bombshell revelation, prosecutors also reached an agreement with AMI, the publishers of the National Enquirer. Its CEO is Trump associate David Pecker. The tabloid admitted to making a $150,000 payment to McDougal in concert with the Trump campaign.
You lied for him for a long time.
More than 10 years.
Why?
Out of loyalty. Out of loyalty to him. I followed a bad path, and hence how we started this conversation. I have my freedom. I will not be the villain of his story.
He's saying very clearly that he never directed you to do anything wrong. Is that true?
I don't think there's anybody that believes that. First of all, nothing at the Trump organization was ever done unless it was run through Mr. Trump. He directed me to make the payments. He directed me to become involved in these matters, including the one with McDougal, which was really between him and David Pecker, and then David Pecker's counsel. I just reviewed the documents in order to protect him. I gave loyalty to someone who truthfully does not deserve loyalty.
He was trying to hide what you were doing, correct?
Correct.
And he knew it was wrong?
Of course.
And he was doing that to help his election?
You have to remember at what point in time that this matter came about, 2 weeks or so before the election, post the Billy Bush comments. So yes, he was very concerned about how this would affect the election.
To help his campaign.
To help him and the campaign.
You mentioned dirty deeds in your allocution. When you think about it, when you look back, did you know what you were doing?
I'm angry at myself because I knew what I was doing was wrong. I should not be the only one taking responsibility for his action.
So he's still lying?
Yes.
Do you know why you were loyal to him at the beginning?
No. It was a blind loyalty. It was to a man I admired, but I do not know the answer to it.
The prosecutors seem to suggest it was, Southern District prosecutors, I should add, seem to suggest it was you were being driven by greed and ambition.
No, that's inaccurate. I didn't make my money working for Donald Trump. I had made a substantial amount of money years before working for Donald Trump. And anybody who knows me knows that to be the truth.
So what do you say to people, and you know there are a lot of people who would be watching who are going to be thinking, but wait a second, he lied for so long, why should we believe him now? What's the answer to that?
What do you mean lied? Lied about what? It's New York real estate. Yes, it's the greatest product ever created. Is that a lie?
Well, but you pleaded guilty to lying to Congress.
Yes.
So why should we believe you now?
Because the special counsel stated emphatically that the information that I gave to them was credible and helpful. There's a substantial amount of information that they possess that corroborates the fact that I am telling the truth.
In April, the FBI raided Cohen's office, home, and hotel room, seizing electronics and documents, some of which related to a payment to Karen McDougal.
So you're done with the lying?
I am done with the lying. I am done being loyal to President Trump, and my first loyalty belongs to my wife, my daughter, my son, and this country.
But some members of Congress are still skeptical.
It appears that Mr. Cohen's testimony would be a critical part of it, and I think Mr. Cohen's a gangster. I mean, his credibility is suspect, to say the least.
It was lost on few that Marco Rubio came out in the last couple of days and said, you know what, we actually have to get to all of the facts. You're starting to see the cracks in the armor that the Republicans have put up.
You worked for him for a long time. I was around you many, many years ago where you seemed to be having fun.
There was a lot of fun going on at the Trump Organization.
Working with Donald Trump.
I enjoyed working with my colleagues there as well.
When did it change?
You know, I can't give you a specific time that it went from point A to point B. It was just a change. I will tell you that the gentleman that is sitting now in the Oval Office, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, is not the Donald Trump that I remember from Trump Tower.
How so?
He's a very different individual.
What's happened to him?
I think the pressure of the job is much more than what he thought it was going to be. It's not like the Trump Organization where he would bark out orders and people would blindly follow what he wanted done. There's a system here. He doesn't understand the system. And it's sad because the country has never been more divisive. And one of the hopes that I have out of the punishment that I've received, as well as the cooperation that I have given, I will be remembered in history as helping to bring this country back together.
The special counsel did say that you were doing your best to tell the truth about everything related to their investigation, everything related to Russia. Do you think President Trump is telling the truth about that?
No.
It's a big statement. And when you look back at the Michael Cohen who spent 10 years with Donald Trump, what would you say to him on that first day?
What were you thinking? You knew better. You know better.
How does this end for Donald Trump?
You know, that sort of gets into the whole investigation right now. I don't want to jeopardize any of their investigations.
And you're still cooperating?
If they want me, I'm here, and I'm willing to answer whatever additional questions that they may have for me.
Right. You can still have a point of view and an opinion about this and without giving anything up. Having spoken and met with them so many times, do you believe that an indictment is imminent?
I do.
Okay. And when do you think it can happen? Sooner rather than later?
Well, let's all hope it's sooner rather than later, because everyone needs to be held accountable. Yeah. Everyone needs to be held to the same standard of the law, and that includes former presidents.
Michael, you lied to many people over the course of time, folks at Benjamin Moore about paint. You lied about things going on at MSNBC. Are you ever worried that some of this is going to come back and bite you in the butt?
You don't think it already has? I mean, you know, I'm the only one out of this entire group that has managed 15 months away from my family. I've never been away from them for a day. That was torture for me. It was worse than anything I could ever have imagined. And, you know, look, I talk about the Benjamin Moore in both Mea Culpa and in the book Disloyal, but I don't talk about it as about my point about lying. I talk about it. This is the character and the nature of the man who's our 45th president. And that's the whole point. I want people to open their eyes and understand that Donald J. Trump cares for no one or anything other than himself. And it doesn't make a difference what he has to do so long as he wins.
Well, Michael, the book is fascinating, and you lay out a lot of stuff, so I encourage folks to read it. We want to thank you for your time. His memoir just...
Inside Donald Trump's prison cell, the surroundings are like any other small, enclosed space. The walls are gray concrete, and a narrow cot with a thin mattress is the only piece of furniture. A tiny metal sink and toilet combo sit in one corner, while a small barred window allows a sliver of natural light to filter in. The sound of clanking bars echoes through the air as guards patrol the hallway outside.
What? What is...
President Trump is 76 years old. He will die in federal prison.
Trump spends his days pacing the limited floor space. The once powerful man now finds himself in a place of confinement.